11 pieces of jewellery, £80 million, given publicly, worn publicly, photographed at state banquets and royal galas for decades, and yet, officially, they belong to no one. Not to the Royal Collection Trust, the body that exists specifically to safeguard items of national heritage on behalf of the British public. Not to any publicly accountable institution. And when journalists asked Buckingham Palace directly, where are they? Who holds them? On what legal basis? The palace declined to answer. That was 2023. It is now 2026. The silence has not broken. The pieces at the center of this story are not obscure curiosities tucked away in some forgotten archive. They are jewels you have almost certainly seen, worn by Queen Elizabeth II in her most iconic portraits, loaned to Catherine, Princess of Wales, for a National Portrait Gallery gala, pinned to the coat of a new queen on the day she came home to bury her father. And yet, officially, they do not exist in the national record. No theft has been alleged, no scandal has been proven. What we have instead is something that, in its own quiet way, is just as extraordinary. A palace that knows exactly what is being asked and has chosen repeatedly simply not to explain. So today, we are going to look at every single one of these pieces, who gave them, who wore them, and why their disappearance from the official record matters far more than it might first appear. The 2023 revelation. On the 14th of April, 2023, The Guardian reported something that sent ripples through the royal watching world. 11 pieces of jewellery, potentially worth around £80 million, given as official gifts to Queen Elizabeth II between 1947 and 1979, were not held by the Royal Collection Trust. These were not obscure pieces. They were prominent items, often seen in public photographs of the late Queen, of Queen Camilla, and of Catherine, Princess of Wales. The 11 pieces comprised a set of aquamarine jewellery, 4 brooches, and 6 necklaces. Among them, and this is the piece that truly takes your breath away, the legendary Nizam of Hyderabad diamond necklace. The Royal Collection Trust confirmed it did not have custody of any of the 11 jewels. They were not listed among the objects it holds in trust for the nation. When pressed, a Buckingham Palace spokesperson declined to explain who currently owns the pieces or where they are kept, but reiterated the standard line that official gifts may be held by the sovereign in right of the crown or designated in due course as part of the royal collection. Maybe. In due course, after more than 70 years. In October 2025, the investigative site Great Reporter revisited the story. 2 years after The Guardian's original report, both the Palace and the Royal Collection Trust were still declining to clarify the status or whereabouts of the jewels. Great Reporter described it as a mystery worth £80 million involving missing jewels, unaccountable custodianship, and questions of royal transparency that refuse to fade away. The key phrase from that follow-up stays with me: a legal grey zone shielded from public oversight. There is no evidence the jewels have been lost or sold. The issue is classification and accountability. But when objects of this significance exist in a grey zone, when the institution responsible for them simply will not explain, that grey zone starts to feel very dark indeed. The jewels themselves. Now, let's talk about the pieces, because each one of these jewels has a story. A human story, a diplomatic story, a story that connects women and nations and moments in history. And understanding what these pieces are makes the silence around them all the more striking. The Nizam of Hyderabad diamond necklace. The centerpiece of this entire controversy is a Cartier necklace of extraordinary beauty. It was created in the 1930s and given to Princess Elizabeth as a wedding present in 1947 by Mir Osman Ali Khan, the last Nizam of Hyderabad, who was then reputedly the richest man in the world. At the Nizam's instruction, Cartier allowed the young princess to choose any suite she liked from their collection. She selected a floral tiara with detachable brooches and this elaborate diamond necklace, built around a chain of pavé-set diamonds with a central double-drop pendant set with emerald-cut stones and a pear-shaped drop. It became one of Elizabeth II's signature pieces for formal portraits and state occasions. And in 2014, she loaned it to Catherine, Princess of Wales, who wore it to a gala at the National Portrait Gallery, cementing its status as a cross-generational royal icon. Estimates of its value vary. Some jewellery experts have placed it in the £30 to £40 million range. Others suggest it could be worth around £66 million, making it arguably the most expensive single jewel in the royal family's possession. And yet, it is not recorded in the Royal Collection Trust's holdings. It is one of the 11 official gifts whose current status is entirely opaque. Can you imagine? A piece that has been worn publicly, photographed endlessly, loaned to a future queen, and it exists officially in a kind of nowhere. The Brazilian Aquamarine Parure. Multiple reports refer to a set of aquamarine jewellery among the missing items, and royal watchers will know exactly which set this is, the Brazilian Aquamarine Parure. It began as a coronation gift in 1953 from the President and people of Brazil, a necklace of 9 large rectangular aquamarines and pendant earrings set in diamond and platinum. Brazil subsequently added to the gift, presenting a matching bracelet and brooch in 1958. The Queen then commissioned Garrard in 1957 to create a towering tiara using aquamarines supplied by Brazil. And in 1968, during her state visit to Brazil, the governor of São Paulo gave her further aquamarine and diamond hair ornaments, which were later incorporated into a redesigned version of the tiara. By the 1970s, the Brazilian aquamarines formed a complete parure, tiara, necklace, earrings, bracelet and brooch that the Queen wore regularly to state banquets and was still using in the 2000s. Royal jewellery writers describe the suite as a deeply symbolic diplomatic legacy, a jewelled record of the relationship between Britain and Brazil, built piece by piece over 15 years. The Guardian's description of a prominent aquamarine set among the unaccessioned gifts strongly suggests that at least part of this parure is involved. Whether the entire suite is excluded from the royal collection or whether some elements are treated differently remains unclear. The Saudi diamond necklaces. Queen Elizabeth II received at least 2 spectacular diamond necklaces from Saudi kings on state occasions, both clearly official gifts from heads of state, both prominently documented in jewellery reference works. The first, known as the King Faisal necklace, was made by Harry Winston. It is a riviere of baguette and brilliant cut diamonds with 11 pear-shaped diamond pendants, containing more than 300 diamonds with a total weight of around 84 carats. King Faisal of Saudi Arabia presented it to the Queen during his 1967 state visit to London. She wore it for the return banquet at the Dorchester and later loaned it to both Diana, Princess of Wales, and Sophie, Duchess of Edinburgh, for overseas tours. The second, the King Khalid necklace, also by Harry Winston, was given to the Queen in 1979 during her tour of Saudi Arabia. It is a fringe-style diamond necklace with 20 large pear-shaped diamond drops radiating from a band of smaller stones. The Queen wore it at multiple film premieres and state events. Press reports around the £80 million controversy referred generally to 6 diamond necklaces, at least some of them Saudi in origin, among the missing official gifts. Jewellery analysts widely infer that both the Faisal and Khalid necklaces are included among the 6 unaccessioned items. The Pakistani turquoise necklace. In 1966, during the first, and so far only, official state visit by a Pakistani head of state to Britain, President Ayub Khan presented Queen Elizabeth II with a 2-row turquoise, seed pearl and gold necklace in the traditional South Asian Dolada Ha style. The Queen wore it with Queen Mary's lover's knot tiara at a gala performance during the visit. The Guardian's reporting on the missing jewels refers to a turquoise necklace from Pakistan among the official gifts not held by the Royal Collection Trust. As with the Saudi necklaces, there is no evidence the jewel is lost or sold. The issue is that it appears to be treated as a private asset despite its status as a diplomatic gift. And then there is the piece that, for me, carries the most emotional weight of all. The flame lily brooch is a platinum and diamond jewel in the shape of Zimbabwe's national flower, made in Johannesburg and presented to Princess Elizabeth for her 21st birthday in 1947 by the children of Southern Rhodesia. More than 40,000 schoolchildren contributed small sums towards its creation. 40,000 children pooling their pennies to give a gift to a young princess on the cusp of a life of service. Elizabeth wore that brooch pinned to her black coat when she returned to Britain as Queen following the death of George VI in 1952, making it an indelible part of her accession imagery. It is, in every meaningful sense, a Commonwealth jewel, a gift not from a government, but from a generation of children, and it appears to be among the pieces not held by the Royal Collection Trust. The gift register and the silence. In parallel with the specific £80 million jewellery question, there has been growing criticism of the royal household's general lack of transparency over official gifts. After controversies over gifts in the 2000s, the palace began publishing an annual list of official gifts received by members of the royal family, partly to reassure the public that such presents could not be quietly converted into personal assets. But in 2024, it emerged that no comprehensive gift list had been published since 2019, a 4-year gap, covering the pandemic, the change of reign, and the 2023 coronation. The palace blamed the intense workload and upheaval of the period. Critics argued the lapse undermined trust. Campaign Group Republic called for full disclosure of all official gifts, pointing out that members of Parliament are required to declare similar benefits on a public register of interests, whereas the royals are not. Then, at the end of May 2025, Buckingham Palace finally published new gift registers covering the years 2020 to 2023. The lists included items ranging from blue Peter badges to a Rolls-Royce Cullinan Series 2 motorcar presented to King Charles as a coronation gift by the King of Bahrain. But here is the thing. None of the 11 high-value pieces identified in the 2023 investigation appear in these new registers. Not the Nizam necklace, not the Brazilian Aquamarines, not the Saudi diamond necklaces, not the Pakistani turquoise necklace, not the flame lily brooch. When asked why the older gifts were not being retrospectively declared, a palace aide told reporters that gifts from earlier decades are recorded separately, but declined to explain in what form, where those records are held, or under what classification they appear. Recorded separately. That phrase has become emblematic of what critics describe as a culture of minimal compliance transparency. Doing just enough to answer the narrow question without opening the vault door to broader scrutiny. It is worth noting briefly how other monarchies approach this. In Denmark, the royal house has publicly posted guidelines stating that gifts received in official contexts will be disclosed each year in the royal house's annual report, with a description of the gift, the donor, and the occasion. In the Netherlands, the foundation managing the Dutch royal family's collection has commissioned an independent investigation into its holdings, with the explicit aim of assessing the legality and ethics of what it contains. These examples show that greater transparency is not only possible, it is already happening elsewhere in Europe. Why this matters? I want to take a moment here because I think it is easy to get lost in the legal language, right of the crown, unaccessioned gifts, heritage property, and lose sight of what this story is actually about. These jewels were given publicly. They were worn publicly. They were photographed, documented, celebrated. The Nizam necklace was worn by a future Queen of England at a National Portrait Gallery gala. The Brazilian Aquamarines were worn at jubilees, at state banquets, at the Spanish state visit in 2017. The flame lily brooch was pinned to the coat of a new queen on the day she came home to bury her father. For generations, the British monarchy has relied on a careful balance between enchantment and accountability. Enough ceremony to keep the magic alive, enough openness to reassure a skeptical public that the magic is not being abused. These jewels feel like part of a shared visual culture. They appear in books, in exhibitions, in documentaries, in postage stamp portraits. The women who wore them, Elizabeth, Catherine, Diana, Sophie, wore them as the crown, in service of the crown, representing all of us. And now we learn that 11 of those pieces exist in a legal grey zone, that the institution responsible for them will not explain where they are or who holds them, that the phrase offered in response to legitimate questions is simply recorded separately. There is no suggestion of criminality here, but there is a question, a serious, important question, about whether the calibration between enchantment and accountability has, for now, tilted too far towards secrecy. So here is where we stand, 11 pieces, up to £80 million. Official gifts from the children of Zimbabwe, from the last Nizam of Hyderabad, from the kings of Saudi Arabia, from the president of Pakistan. Given publicly, worn publicly, and now sitting in a category the palace calls recorded separately, with nothing further offered. The questions raised in 2023 remain entirely unanswered. And I keep coming back to the flame lily brooch, made from the pennies of 40,000 schoolchildren pinned to the coat of a new queen on the darkest day of her reign. If any piece deserves to be formally acknowledged as part of the national heritage, surely it is that one. These are not just beautiful objects. They are the physical record of relationships between nations, between peoples, between a monarch and the world she represented for 70 years. That record deserves to be seen. Does the palace's silence concern you? Or do you think there is a reasonable explanation we simply haven't heard? Tell me in the comments. I read every single one. If this story moved you, please give it a like. It helps more people find their way here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I would love to have you. There is so much more still to uncover.